AI song playlist that tells a story. This time we're going to be creating the actual AI songs using the AI song generator from the prompts that we created from the AI text generator, such as a ChatGTP, for example. Get ready and some coffee because the rockin' ain't stopping once we start building beats with the AI song generator. Last time we left off in our project of creating a song playlist of the story of the Iliad, as we decided not to have one playlist for the entire book of the Iliad because it's a bit too long, but rather have a playlist for each of the chapters of the Iliad. This time, of course, focusing in on chapter 1. We created our seeds by prompting an AI text generator such as a ChatGTP. So you will recall, to do that, we went into something like a ChatGTP and we simply told it, give us a detailed list of the actual plot points of chapter 1 of the Iliad. Because the Iliad is in the public domain, then it should have a ton of information to be able to create that playlist with no problem, noting that I want it to have under 200 characters and no sub-bullet points. I don't want to have a detail about the story. If I want more detail about the story, then I'll ask it to give me more detail about the story. But what I want is just the prompt of the actual events, plot points of the story, and then to get more meaning from it, we're going to use the other AI software, which also you would think would have the information uploaded in it as part of its training and learning, the classics that are in the public domain, such as the Iliad here. So I believe. So yeah. So we're hopefully that it's gonna have the Iliad in its information, so I could just put the plot points in and then it makes the song. So again, I'm using the Suno software for the AI song generator, and that's at suno.com. You can use other software, but I think this is the best one that I've seen thus far. But the general process will be the same no matter what you use, I would think, right? You're going to be basically saying, I want to give you the prompt side instead of basically the custom lyrics. I don't want the custom lyrics that I'm going to make. I want to give you a simple prompt, and then you build the information based on the information that you have in your AI head from the stuff that's probably fed to you, which would include the stuff in the public domain, you would think, of the classic texts of the West, like the Iliad. All right, so that means I'm going to start off with a simple kind of prompt of what I want it to do, and then I could just copy and paste these items into it to create my list of songs. It typically creates 2 songs per prompt is the general idea here. So we're in the creation tab, and so and this is how it looks in this particular software. Again, this process you would think would work with other softwares that might work similarly as well. But here we're in the creation tab. We're in the sample, the simple rather than the custom. Once we create the songs, I'm going to move them into the library tab. That's where we create our playlists, so that I can have a playlist that's designated to just these items. But for right now, we're in the create tab. So I'm going to give it the basic prompt that I would like it to do. Now, I think that the type of music that it does best, that I've tested out, that I kind of like, I haven't tested all types of music, but the ones that I think it works best on, it has country, it seems, down very well. So I have been putting in like a country prompt. I've been saying just like a country with an acoustic guitar. I think it does quite well for some reason. And the singing, the vocals work pretty well. Or I just give me a rock type of music. If I want a bigger range, that's going to mean that it's going to do a large range. It might get some like heavy metal sounding kind of thing versus classic rock. It might go all over the place. So, but that's kind of nice. It's nice to give it that range sometimes if you want like a wartime story or something like could happen in the Iliad. You would think maybe a heavy metal song during that point might work, right? That might be the way to go. So I sometimes have been doing each chapter one using like a rock and one using like a country rock. I've been putting like country rock so that it kind of has country but maybe a rock element to it as a style. Now notice it has the styles down here as well, but I typically just type it in there. If you click on it down here, it might save you a little bit more space. but I have found that typing it in there has worked quite well, especially when I want a combination of like country and rock instead of maybe just rock. So although it takes up some of your characters if you type that in. So I'm going to say country rock style. So that took up a few characters for me to do that, but I think I'm okay with that. And then I want to say that I would like each line in English followed by same in Spanish. I'm trying to make it as tight as possible to tell it what I want it to do, because as I learn the Iliad here, I want to also learn Spanish. And you might not want to do that, so you don't have to do that, but I think this is another great tool that the software does, because it actually allows you to hear one line and then basically the exact same line in another language, which is a great tool really to kind of hear the cadence of one to the other and compare the language from one to the other line by line. So I think that, again, is I'm like blown away by it. I think it's really cool. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to say, let's put that in here. And so now I can just keep on copying and pasting the song into this area. So I'm going to say, boom, there's the song. And I think that's everything, right? Country rock style, each line in English followed by same in Spanish. And there's the prompt. So let's go ahead and create it and see what it comes up with. So now it takes a little while to generate. Now, as it generates it, I want to copy the title over here. I'm going to put it in front of the prompt, because remember, my objective is at the end of the day to make my playlist this way. You might not want to need all this, but I'm going to make a playlist. This is just an example in YouTube, adding the images, and then I would like the timestamps, the numbers, followed by the song title and the prompt, the seed used for the song title, so that when listeners go into here, they can actually copy the seed into like a ChatGTP and get the full story from a ChatGTP that the song is about, which will orient themselves in the right position within the story, right? So that's gonna be the idea. So here's what it comes up here with. It came up with here's what it came up with: Apollo's Wrath. And the new ones that you haven't clicked on yet will have this little dot on when you log out and back in. So that's currently the way it is. Now notice I can't edit it right yet. So what I'd like to do is basically copy and paste the title. Unfortunately, there's no real way I can kind of copy it. So I've got to like type the title in this way. So I'm going to go back over here and go, okay, let's make this like, I'll pull it on this side maybe. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to put it number 1, and I'm going to just type it in there of, this works better if you have 2 screens, by the way, but the Apollo's Wrath. Okay, so that's going to be the first one. Okay, and then maybe I'll make that green or yellow or something to say, okay, I'm done with that one. And then I'm going to go to the next one. I'm just going to go through this process and pull them in. So I copy the next one, and I've left this nice space. Oh, let's listen to it real quick. Let's hear what it did, just to double check. Note that at this point in time, the Suno AI song generator will typically create 2 different versions of the same song, an AI generated title for the song, which will be the same for the 2 different versions, which it created based on the seed. Now, I don't think that we can change the title of the song, or at least I have had problems doing that. So I simply just keep the title that it generates for us, but I want to be able to copy and paste that title into my Word document. So once again, I can have the number of the song, the title, as well as the seed, which will help me when I go back to the song later. Now, as I add this to the playlist, notice I don't really need the prompt seed as much. It's kind of sad that you lose the prompt seed a little bit, but that's because I have the actual song text over here, so that when I'm listening to it, I can basically copy and paste the song text. The song text will not be, however, in the YouTube side of things if I upload it to YouTube, although YouTube does generally auto-generate the text down here, so we could have people look at the transcript to use the transcript to get information about the song. But it would be easier if we actually give them the prompt seed that they can use to look at the song. So in other words, when I'm listening to this now, if I was listening to it on this software, I can copy the actual song text over here and say, okay, I would like a little bit more background about this particular song. Let's test it out and also see if the system created a song based on what we wanted it to do, which is the basic plot point, the first plot point of chapter 1 of the Iliad. So I'm going to ask, what is this song based on? And I'll say boom, and I'll just say boom, and let's double check it. The song is based on book 1 of the Iliad, meaning chapter 1. Specifically, the story of Apollo's wrath against Greeks after Agamemnon dishonors his priests. Did God, the lyrics, okay, is this the first part of the chapter or book? And let's just double, yes, the lyrics are inspired by the first part of book 1 of the Iliad. Cool. That's kind of what we were looking for. All right. So then now again, if I was looking at it from the playlist, I can also just copy the seed over here and then say give background story of this part of chapter 1 of the Iliad, right? And then there's the seed, so I can expand on the seed. So if I was copying it from like a YouTube, it'd say, okay, the Greek army and blah, blah, blah. So I can look at I can use the seed to get the background story and then listen to the song in the context of that particular part of the story. So that's what's kind of nice. All right, let's hear it.
God of the lyre lets his anger sing. Dios de la lira deja que su ira cante. Campfires tremble under his fiery wing. Las hogueras tiemblan bajo su ala de fuego. A plague rides out where the arrows sting. Una plaga cabalga donde las flechas pican. Dishonor breeds where pride is king.
Okay, so you may or may not like that style, like this, what did I say, country rock style, but it's good at it, right? The system is that the voice sounds pretty good, you know, for an AI generated. I mean, so it's pretty good at that, and it's pretty good at some of the rock styles. So I think that's where its sweet spot is at this point in time. I'm sure it'll nail like a lot of the styles after a while, but. So that's going to be the general idea. Notice that it kind of stretches it out to get both English and Spanish, but I'm amazed how well it says the exact same thing in Spanish, and it's still, to me, it sounds good, right? I don't see that it doesn't like break the song context. Possibly you come up with better songs if you didn't force it to do that. So it could be in one language. But I've noticed it does some interesting rhymes and stuff, sometimes from the English, sometimes in the Spanish, sometimes rhyming like the English to the Spanish. So it actually uses it pretty well. Anyways, so that's going to be that's the general process. So then I can just go back in and copy and paste and create each of these songs. I'm going to create each of these 2 songs. I'm going to generate all the songs first, and then I'll go back in and create the playlist from it, because I can't create the playlist as fast as I generate the songs, because I won't be able to add them to the playlist, even though I can play them pretty quickly after I prompt it. I can't actually add them to the playlist or edit it for a little bit of time. So I add them all first and then add them to the playlist. And then as I add them to the playlist, I double check that the number system is correct. I try to make sure everything's lined up so it's going to be in the playlist in order. And then I got to kind of double check that so that my list is lined up properly. All right, that's the general idea. So here's the tedious process. I'm just going to keep on copying and pasting. I kind of want to show it. I might fast forward it a little bit. So I'm going to copy the prompt, and then I'm going to paste it to the second bit. Notice I've structured it here so the top bit will always be the same, and I just paste the new seed into the bottom bit so it'll do the same process, so I don't have to really check it every time. I'm just going to run through the whole thing after I checked that first one. And I'm going to say create, and then as soon as it gives me the title. So then I usually click on this one. Now, sometimes if it has like a text that it's not happy, see how it created the title quickly right there. I can't yet add it to a playlist. Well, maybe I could add it to the playlist as we go, but I typically don't. I'm going to go ahead and add it to my title. Then I'll go and add them all to the playlist later. So this is going to be I can see it over here. So this is going to be a father's plea. Boom, boom. And then I'll make this one yellow. So I've done that one. Click it off. And then I'm going to copy the next one. Copy that over here. Put that on here. So we're going to go boom. And then let it generate. Create. Boom. And then now notice sometimes, like if it said someone got killed or something like that, it does see how it said couldn't generate that. So that's kind of a pain. It's like, why couldn't it generate it? Because there's something it didn't like in that prompt. So I'm going to, so what didn't it like? Let's go over here and say, I'm going to ask, reformat this prompt so AI song generator will take it. And so which prompt didn't it like? It didn't like this prompt. Apollo angered, rains plague arrows on the Greeks. So it doesn't like violence, I think. So let's see if you can. So, which is kind of hard to make a song about war without it. But if you keep, it's sure, Apollo's wrath rains plague, filled arrows with 9 days straight. Okay, so that hopefully that's the same gist. And let's try that one. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it over here. And then I'm also going to pull it into my song generator as my new seed. All right, try that if you're going to be all picky about it. And this is the third one, right? This is the third one. Yeah. See if it does it. And create. All right. So now it's doing that one. And see if it picks it up. There, it picks it up. So for whatever reason, it liked that way of saying it better. All right, so the thing it created was Wrath of the Sun. All right. Hopefully it doesn't make a song without any violence in it, because this is the Iliad, for crying out loud. What is this? PG-13, PG songs, man? No. Let's go ahead and do the next one. See if it takes that one. So I usually click on it so that if it disappears, I kind of notice. Otherwise, it puts this little message down here and you can't really tell. So I'm going to say, okay, pick that one up. Cool. So this is the plague debate. Okay. That sounds interesting. That sounds like an interesting song. Let's do the next one. Otra vez. Otra vez. Okay. We're going to say and put this one in play. Boom. Let's see if it picks that one up and create. So click on it. See if it picks it up. It does. All right. So cool. So this one's going to be number 5. This is going to be return to end the plague. Okay. Hope it works. I hope the plague gets ended. No one likes plagues, you know? You know what I mean? All right. And then let's do the next one. So I'm just going to copy and paste this one in place. And then create that one. And see what it does. Is it going to work? See, it starts to pop over here first. And I'm going to be like, okay, it's thinking about that one a lot. It's not going to like it. It didn't like it. Ah, come on. I'm just going to say same here. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT, reword that one. Agrees but demands Achilles prize in return. Okay, that's because he wanted the girl or whatever. Agamemnon agrees but demands. All right, let's try that. See if it. I don't know why It's being upset with that one. It doesn't like her being a prize. It's oh God. All right, let's put this in here. Let's go ahead and say create. All right, let's see if it takes it that time. Come on. It's history. You can't get all lame about it. All right, it still didn't do it, I don't think. It looked like it was about to, but no. Okay, so I'm just gonna say try again for ChatGTP. It's still being picky. It's a really fussy AI generator. Wants to be all politically correct or whatever. Whatever. So, but claims, okay, let's try this one. Let's try this rewording. We'll just keep rewording it. At some point it usually works, even with, war topics and stuff. I went through the whole Old Testament and made playlists with it, and there's some pretty crazy stuff. Pretty straight. So I was like, that's okay for some reason. All right then. Here we go then. That's what I'm talking about. The King's Greed. It's going to be a cool tool, and then they're going to make it so you can't make any songs about anything but the alphabet or something. Ugh. Crying out loud. Make something cool, and then they ruin it. Alright. Freedom of speech, man. Freedom of speech. These are classics. Give me this. Achilles Rebellion. Alright. So we'll go to and then Achilles asked mother. Okay. I remember that bit. I'd remember it better if I heard a song about it, though. That's what I'm talking about. If I heard a song about it, then it'd stick, and I'd pass the test. Oh, it didn't like that one. See, then it looked like it was going to do it, but then it didn't. What's your problem, man? Let's do same here. Achilles asked his mother to appeal for revenge. It doesn't like revenge. You lame software, for crying out loud, dude. Oh my goodness. No stories about revenge. We can't write a song that's got any revenge in it. It's got to be a children's story. I'm writing rock and roll here, man. This is epic songogy. I still didn't like it. Try it again. Try it again. Alright, let's see. It calls for Titus. Even ChatGTP, which is kind of does the same kind of stuff. It's like, dude, this other software is lame. Doesn't accept anything. What is this? What am I singing to kindergartners? The song for kindergartners around here? Thought we were adults. For crying out loud. Alright. It still didn't like that. Achilles. It doesn't like this one. It's getting worse. Try again. ChatGPT's like, dude. Man. I don't know what to do with these people, with this software. So lame. Loosen up, man. Loosen up. No. Try again. For crying out loud. How we gotta word this so you don't cry. Stupid software. I don't. No. Alright, I'm gonna keep trying. Okay, I got it to work. But man, I think it's getting pickier by the day. They're after it. The crazies are after it, I can tell. Anyway, it's getting worse by the day, but so you might have to get going on this fast. Doesn't like revenge, apparently. Crying out loud. If anybody keeps... whoever did this deserves... We need vengeance for whoever messed with the software, I'll tell you that. It's good. Crying out. Whoever told it we can't have revenge plots needs not harm or anything, but they need like karma to happen to them or something. That's not the proper use of karma, but anyway, let's see if it takes this one. It's only, here we go, it took that one. All right, so we're gonna say this is gonna be Titus Promise. Boom. And we're gonna say, okay, let's do this one. Almost there. Would go a lot faster. We'd be done way long time ago if it wasn't being all lame. If it weren't being all lame, you know, be easy. But that's how you do it. That's when you get these people working in your company. It's even worse, I'll tell you. You can't do that. What do you mean I can't do that? There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. This is this is the best way to do it. Why? No, you have to do it like totally an inefficient, stupid way because some rule I made up. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. It's crazy talk. For crying out loud. Okay. Praises to the Son God. Alright, we're almost there. Alright. Couple more. Let's see what we got on this one. It's rolling. We're rolling along. We've got it didn't like that one. The middle management came in. Try this. Same with this one. I don't like that. I don't like the way you worded that. You need to write it. Okay, let's try it this way. That's not a problem. I'm not going to get upset or anything. Titus pleads with Zeus. Titus asks, okay, I'll just rewrite. How about this? Will that work, middle management? Will that work? I'll tell you if it works. Okay, here we go. Let's see if that is okay. We're gonna see if it works. Alright, it likes that one. Alright, so we'll be okay with that one's acceptable. Alright then, that's good. I'm glad we jumped through the proper hoop. The proper hoop has been cleared. The red tape has been cut. We've broken through it, and we're moving forward. We're moving forward, people. Got red tape clinging to every part of our body at this point. We've broken through so much of it, but we're still going. Ain't stopping us. Ain't no red tape getting my way. I just keep it rolling. All right. So then we're gonna say this is the gods. All right, 2 more. Almost there. Muisarka. Muisarka. All right. Let's see if it likes that one. Boom. My stomach is growling. It's taking longer than it was supposed to. The coffee's getting to my stomach. Maybe it should have food. You should put food in there before the coffee. I don't do it that way. So I'm going to say thunderous silence. Ooh. Little contradiction of words. You can't have thunderous silence, man. They ripped off sound of silence on that one. I see where you got that. All right. Last one, La Ultima Canta. Last song, Clash of the Gods. All right. Clash of Gods and Mortals. I don't think we're gonna win that one. All right, that's okay. sometimes you just gotta fight the losing fight, man, because that's the right thing to do. All right. So now that we have this, now next time I'll put them into a playlist so that and then I'll download them. Now the playlist might be where you want to stop, but because then you have them in a nice playlist and you can put them in order. See, right now they're not in order, they're in reverse order. That's not good. Putting them into the playlist will put them in the proper order, and that's where we could stop, but then we could download the MP3s in the proper order and then possibly make AI images and whatnot for it to upload it to YouTube or make a video format. So that's what we'll do going forward.